That's a really good question.
So I mean, it's not good, but so actually, I've got a skill is like sleep for perfect timing.
My mother always says like I'm a kind of person who really like underestimates my ability.
Actually, I live really far away from a high school.
6:30 in the morning.
That's the reason why I'm really intrigued about first robotics. So a lot of Chinese parents just like to pick the future for their students.
I think I'm a really tough person, so I'm really not good at dealing all those kind of emotional related.
I really enjoyed that piece of friendship, or even better at academics than me, but they don't have the chance to get in Cambridge. Disabled people focus like robotics and trying to help their life easier. So all of my classmates are really friendly, but my head teacher was not. You're from Wuhan, you're not from Beijing. They started mocking at me, to be honest.
But you felt hurt. You actually felt hurt. Did you tell them?
They continue doing so.
My personality or like my ways of thinking cannot be clustered into a specific city or a specific region.
Most of the engineers are not good at socializing.
The other step back is
emotional wise, relationship wise. I do have a girlfriend back in high school.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, Coffee's on Me, David Quan, where I strive to give guests legacy-worthy interviews that listeners can enjoy while cooking, commuting, relaxing, or walking their pets. I've actually done another podcast episode today. My guest and I were meant to do another time, but some things happened that we decided to do it today. all for good reasons. And instead of a coffee, because it's very late and all the coffee shops are not open, my guest is enjoying a revitalized juice, which I hope is helpful for the recording. I feel very blessed that we're now approaching 100,000 podcast downloads. Please know that I don't take any of your time, feedback, and support for granted, because when I started this passion project podcast, at a low point of my time in Cambridge, I was genuinely motivated by 3 founding ideals. Number 1, purpose of giving. Number 2, learning from others. And number 3, sharing of stories. These 3 aspirations still make up the content description for every single episode. Indeed, the opportunities to strive to give my courageous and insightful guests legacy-worthy interviews over coffee, tea, bubble tea, or water, despite my many inadequacies, have been a tremendous privilege that imbues me with gratitude. I know for a fact that I will listen and look back to laugh at how naive I am. But if you have been enjoying the discussions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts, thank you. And please do consider leaving a review and nominating a guest by contacting me via my Linktree, David Quan. Seeing this podcast on people's Spotify Wraps or receiving positive messages about the guests give me tremendous fulfillment. I cannot thank all my wonderful guests enough for their courage and insights. I genuinely maintain the deep conviction that this passion project, if wholly true to those founding motivations about giving, learning and sharing, is a worthwhile pursuit. So now on to my incredibly talented, hardworking, cool and interesting guest. Ren Xing, a rising second-year engineering student at Fitzwilliam College, University of Cambridge, is an example of unwavering determination. At high school, he shattered records, self-study and acing 8 AP exams similar to A-level with 5 out of 5 benchmark in a single year alongside his A-levels. His prowess extended beyond academics as he steered the robotics team in high school, mentoring the mechanical design division, while clinching triumphs in economic competitions. His courage in embracing change is equally inspiring, exemplified by his 2-year primary school education journey in Beijing and seamless transition in an international curriculum in high school. At Cambridge, he participates in startup competition, as well as CAMSIF, Cambridge Student Investment Fund, as a TMT analyst, in addition to his wide range of engineering pursuits. With an eye on the finance industry post-graduation, he aspires to bridge the worlds of engineering and finance, leveraging his expertise to shape impactful decision-making. In the midst of his commitments, Ren Xing finds solace in gliding and global exploration. For him, the interplay of time management and a balanced life are pivotal to realizing one's aspirations. Ren Xing encapsulates the essence of ambition, dedication, and holistic living. Ren, welcome to my podcast, Coffee Somebody David Quan.
Thanks for inviting David.
Really excited to have you. You're a veteran of the podcast, and I know you've listened to other episodes. Can you name 2 or 3 people whose episode that you found valuable and enjoyed?
It's like Shane's product as well as like Genius, and also I've remembered the other person I've listened to is like Jing Li So like she's really famous in our cohort. So yeah, and like all of their talks are really inspiring, and I've learned a lot from it. And I really love your series podcast, like David. Thanks very much for the whole series. Yes.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate it. All of you guys are obviously really cool, and hence I invited you guys as guests. But you also know them in a personal capacity, right? So how did they come across in the podcast as per your expectations of your, personal encounter? Were they honest? Were they cool? Did they reveal anything special?
Well, actually, I think they're really honest because I've known like Genia or Shen in person very well. So like when they were like recording those kind of process sessions, I feel like they were just talking in front of me and sharing all their ideas and their authentic ideas towards me, and never hiding or like trying to like modify anything. So it's just really nice.
Right.
To listen to their raw thoughts.
So you've listened to those episodes and how they responded. What do you think I'm going to ask you if you were to make a prediction? I know engineers are logical, and you would have thought about what am I going to ask you? Predict the interview.
Tell me how to do this tripod question. I'm just joking. So I thought like, how do you see your future when you are doing like engineering related stuffs? I'm guessing like you might ask those kind of questions.
Okay. And so do you think I'm gonna just start on engineering or on your future? Like how, if you were to hypothesize, like how should I start then?
I thought we can just first focus on my education background and then move to the future bits in the next few minutes, if it's alright.
Okay,
like,
let's do that.
Or the
then.
end of the podcast.
Okay.
Fine, so.
Education background.
Yes.
So you're someone who's shattered records. You've basically studied the amount of 2 people, if not more, at once.
Yeah, actually that's true.
Why?
I mean, so to be honest, I'm a sort of person who really loves those kind of demanding tasks. I mean, I'm not trying to kill myself in some way, but it's just like I really like those kind of challenges. I mean, it's not a really true idea right now, but the real reason behind it is I'm doing A-levels back in high school, so I'm trying to apply to those kind of universities in the United States. So they are really not like recognize those kind of A-level curriculums, but they're really keen on those kind of students who are doing like IBs or APs, those kind of like more difficult exams compared with A-levels. But actually I think that's not the case, but anyways, so that's the reason I'm not trying to take up those kind of advanced placement exams as well as A-level exams at the same time. And the other reason in addition to that is because I'm doing only mathematics, physics, and economics and further mathematics back in high school for A-levels. So I didn't do anything related to computer science. So I opted for a bit of computer science related curriculums for advanced placement, which subsequently equipped me more skills for engineering related hobbies or those kind of further development.
So, I mean, I did the IB, and not only did I not think about then doing AP or A-level on top, I was worried about whether I could even handle IB itself. Was there no worry that by taking on more, not only are you not able to do well on the more that you've taken on, but that your A-level could suffer?
Actually,
or can you create extra hours in the day to study?
Actually the case is I do have those kind of fear when the exams like approaching in the same year, because the like exam season is almost in the same months. So basically like one day I'm having like 3 exams like all connected with each other in the same day, which is crazy when I'm really like recalling those kind of experiences. But one thing that like convinced me of doing that is if I can't like try to focus on doing all of those kind of steps, I might not be able to by chance to secure a really good place in those kind of elite United States institutions. So in order to save my future in some ways, I have to do it. But it's just like I don't have any chance. I don't have any of those kind of opportunities for me to lose or succeed in the future. So if I can't do it, then I may not be able to go to those kind of institutions I really want to go to.
Where did you want to go to?
So actually previously I was thinking about UCLA. It's a public school.
Over Cambridge?
The fun story is I haven't really thinking that I can get into Cambridge until that I was applying to universities at that year. So previously I was only thinking I can only get into Imperial College. this one might be the best university I can get into in the United Kingdom, and UCLA might be the best university in the United States I can get into. And well, yeah, you now know the result, but yeah, I'm here, but I mean, I just don't have those kind of confidence in the past that I can like use my own ability or like use my like time efficiently to do all the things well and then get into this institution.
I'm just confused because on the one hand, the choice to not only stick with A-level, which is what most people do, but to take on an additional set of studies, on the one hand, that shows extreme confidence in your time management, in your ability to multitask and to learn and to excel. But then on the other hand, you're saying, like, I'm not here to say which uni is better, but in your own words, you didn't think that you could get into the very best university, but yet in high school you thought you could do double the load that most people could do.
So
how does that add up?
So actually, like mother always says, like, I'm a kind of person who really like underestimates my ability. So anytime when I was talking about chance to get into some place or to achieve some sort of like achievements, I always stand back a bit, saying like I might not be able to do it, but in fact most of the time I just succeed. So so it's more like when I was saying like I can't do something, it's more like I'm not like 100% sure that I can do it, but it's like 85 and even 90% that I can do it, because it's like not like I can just pick my phone easily. It's just like 100% success rate, right? Well, otherwise it's just like I'm not so sure like whether I can achieve my goal or not.
But were you not worried about taking on APs on top of A-level, which people usually would be just worried about what they already study?
Well, yeah. So the other...
I'm just seeing the paradox. I don't know if you're...
yeah, I understand what you mean. So the paradox, yes. I do feel a bit of like, that time, like I do have a bit of resistance from my like tutor or my counselor saying that you're crazy, but I mean like as a young man, I can have a bit of crazy ideas, just like I'm just trying to taking on challenges. If I can do it, then I will succeed. If I can't do it, then it's my fault. I mean, it's not my decision, so it's not like someone pushing me to do that. And I completely understood when someone told me that I might not able to do it, like due to my lack of time or lack of ability, those kind of stuff. But I do have a belief. It's like, if I can't go it this time, I may never have an opportunity to go it in the future. I may regret that I haven't take up those kind of decisions in the near future. So the only way for me to reassure myself is to decide to take up the challenge. I try to tackle through and navigate through all the kind of difficulties that I might face, and then succeed if I can do it.
So during those 2 years then, what was like a typical day then?
Well...
On a school day, that is.
So actually I live really far away from a high school, so it takes around like 45 minutes like driving to go from my home to the school. Like, I mean, it's like a single journey, so it takes me around 2 hours just for commuting between school and my home every day. And when the time at school, I think like I just sometimes only go for the bakery and grab a bit of sandwich or those kind of snacks and stay in my classroom for a bit of academic study, because most of the time my classmates are just like random chatting or like doing a bit of gaming in the middle of the day. But I'm not that kind of person really like doing those kind of, I mean some way it's just useless, but people treat things differently, so I don't like those kind of stuff. So I'm just doing a bit of revision for the A-levels, like during those kind of contents I learned during the day. So once I get back to my home, I will start working on all those kind of advanced placement related stuffs, because my school doesn't offer any sorts of those kind of curriculums in school for us if we're doing A-levels. So the only time for me to study all those kind of stuff is to go back home and try to search online, to use those kind of open source stuff, just like Khan Academy or like OpenCourseWare, those kind of contents or websites to help me study all those kind of contents. And because there is even no tutor to help me guide through all those kind of potential like hard problems or like questions that I'm encountering into, so I have to like random throw out questions in Quora, or even ask like those kind of students from other schools I recognize from competition or robotics competition, those kind of stuff, or just pure networking. So I can just send them the problem set that I'm computing at the moment, and they will respond if they can. So it's a really tough learning experience for me at the time. but I just managed to get it.
Did you have tutors?
It's more like a counselor back in high school. So, well, yeah. I think like our teachers, especially lecturers, is not that responsible for us. I mean, like, well, it's a pity, but I have to face the situation. It's just like I have to spend more time on my own and trying to navigate through all those kind of difficult tasks and manage to learn all the things towards the best condition that I can.
So being 45 minutes away from school, did mum drive you?
So actually seldom. So it depends, because sometimes she has to get up early for morning lectures in university. So sometimes I need to get on a taxi and
wow.
Yeah, because my school is far from the underground station. So it would take me like around 40 minutes to walk from my school towards underground station.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense if I decide to take on any sort of subway or those kind of stuff. It just takes so long.
Okay, well, you hop on the taxi in the morning, you're in your school uniform.
Yes.
What are you thinking? What are you doing on the taxi? Do you talk to the taxi driver?
Sleep.
Do you sleep?
I have to sleep.
Wow.
Because I have to get up like 6:30 in the morning and then grab my breakfast and then jump to the taxi directly.
Grab your breakfast as in mum would leave it on the table for you, or you would go make it?
Actually, it's like my grandma. So my
Oh.
grandma will sometimes prepare a bit of dishes for me, or
Oh, that's
sometimes else I might just go to my school and
You
try
grab
to,
it and then...
yes, and I can't eat it on the taxi because it's not polite for the driver. So I just have to keep the bag within my bag. I mean, with my like backpack, and then eat it once I arrive at school. So
Wow.
yeah.
And then you sleep on the taxi.
Yes.
And you
So-
you aren't scared that the taxi will drive you somewhere else
Well, yeah,
to an
actually.
IB school.
So actually, I've got a skill is like sleep for perfect timing. So I can just try to like woke up like 5 minutes or 10 minutes before I arrive at the school. So it's just like a magic. So every time I can succeed in doing so. So I never like find myself in some place that I'm not familiar with, or even at the wrong school, fortunately. So
Wow, that's really cool. And did you at that point like this taxi driver? Was it a good ritual almost, or did you prefer that school was a bit closer?
to be honest, I don't like those kind of taxi driving stuff. It's
Okay.
just like, it's like traffic jam.
Okay.
So
So Cambridge is like a dream for you.
Mm,
It's just so
yes,
close.
because like you can just always cycle.
Yeah,
If there's
yeah.
traffic jam,
But you
can go
can't
forward.
sleep while you're cycling. Can you?
Then that's crazy. Well, yeah, that's dangerous. I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Okay, so your school is in Wuhan,
yes.
and is it like pretty central Wuhan? Like whereabouts? And was it a really elite school, public school, or what
Actually,
type
it's
of
a
school?
like private school, but
Okay.
it's a little bit rural. So
A high performing school, high achieving school.
actually, to some extent, yes. So basically, we got like around 20 students who can get into Oxbridge every year.
Oh wow! Out of cohort of how many?
Like 550, I think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot actually.
Okay.
So well, yeah, but I'm not in the curriculum that is really good at applying to Oxbridge. So basically, we have.
And that's why you got in.
Or AP or A levels, those kind of curriculum in
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school. But I'm doing A levels. So actually, I've originally opting my school for AP curriculum. AP.
Yeah.
So did you recall? I'm doing AP like
Yeah.
alongside with my A level studies.
Yeah.
So the reason for me to switch to A level is like my high school is really not good at organizing AP curriculum.
Yeah.
So they're trying to push you to like all those kind of like in my opinion meaningless curriculums in every year, and they're forcing you to like choose the curriculum that you might never like or like good
Right.
at study. So the reason for me to switch A level is I got a chance to choose the course that I really want to like study. It's like economics, physics, maths, and further maths. So that's what I was doing at high school. So that's the reason why I can succeed in this sort of curriculum, whereas doing the APs I really like. So that's the reason why I'm doing A level and AP at the same time. So it's like another reason for that.
But you could have chosen IB.
There's like a bit of barrier for that. It's more like a grade barrier. So
You
our
need to achieve a certain grade to do it.
yes.
And
So
you didn't
basic-
achieve it.
Well, that's a tragedy. So, like previously, I was thinking like I can obtain that tier of grades in order to get into IB cohort. So, but I did bad in my high school entrance exam.
If you had got the results then, would you have done IB?
Well, I think so, but I think it will be another different story. Like, if I get an IB, I think I will fail the test.
I don't think so.
No, I think I will, because I think I'm really not good at doing all those kind of, like...
Humanities.
Yeah, especially there's, like, diversified requirement, let's say CAS, or, like...
You can't fail CAS. Come
Really?
on, you can't.
Really? I don't know. I mean...
Well, you can fail it if you don't write up your reflection, but it's not great. You just need to go play some sport.
Okay, so the other concern might be, like, Chinese.
Chinese?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a really funny stuff. It's like, I think I'm not really good at analyzing those kind of literature stuff, because back in middle school, we are given those kind of article pieces saying, like, what can you read out from the sentence? But basically, it's like, the answer for that is, like, completely different from the meaning expressed from the sentence. So it's like you are trying to think of in the way that the person who think of the question that is thinking. So basically, you are not trying to answer the question, but trying to think of, like, how to approach this question in a designated way.
So at that point, in your academic life, where was your strength? Like, was it STEM? Was it math, physics? What were you good at, and what were you most passionate and enthused by?
So I really love physics as well as mathematics.
What about it do you love?
It's like...
Was there a problem in physics that you just thought a lot about?
Well,
theory, equations?
So particularly in physics, like conservation of energy.
Okay.
Because
and why was that fascinating?
It just tells you, like, all those kind of energy related stuff is conserved. So
and
it's
why is that
something,
interesting?
Like, this appears from this place, then it might appear in the other place.
Is that
so
not common
like,
sense?
I mean, as a kid, it is not. But, well, I mean, at that time, I think it was magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So,
you're like, wow, nothing ever gets gone. Yeah.
It's just like, it's amazing.
I guess you're kind of also thinking the transference of different forms of energy, like kinetic to heat, like...
Yeah, like, how did they
form.
do that? Like, it's just like, it seems to be different stuffs, but they're interconnected. Like, gradually, when I encounter much more advanced knowledge, this is just a piece of cake, so, well.
Okay. And then, any other physics concepts or ideas, or any scientists that really interested you?
You mean the particular part of physics?
Yeah, just why physics?
It's like, the other aspects that really interest is like, we have like a finite amount of answer towards a specific problem. So it's like, if I'm given like let me rephrase it. So basically, like, for those kind of humanities sessions or like economic classes, we might have like essays that we debate from both sides. But when we are approaching those kind of engineering related physics stuffs, it's just like only one aim. It's just like try to like make it the best, to make use of it, like trying to like obtain a specific effect or a specific outcome that we design. So I can use different ways or different paths to navigate for the same target. So that's the way, like, that's the reason why physics is like really attracting me.
And did you then like practicals more than the theory, or a mixture of both?
Actually, I more like those kind of practical aspects. So that's the reason I opt for those kind of robotics related activities back in high school. So because I think I'm not a person who is really good at doing all those kind of tripos questions or just kind of exams. So that's the reason I was failing my middle school, like high school entrance exam instead. So yeah, so I really like those kind of hands-on stuff. So
you did quite a good job in robotics, like leading the group as well and steering the team. What does that mean, and was there competitions or challenges?
Oh, actually, the competition is called like First Robotics. So it's really popular in the United States as well as Mexico, or even somewhere in Australia, if you ever heard of it. So basically the task is like we have to like reconstruct a robot every year for different tasks. So some year we are required to pick a bit of ball, like shapes, and try to shoot it out through a roller. It's more like a shooter, those kind of steps. Or some other years we are required to create a bit of robotics arm, like elevator. It's like telescoping elevator to try to grasp a bit of blocks from the ground, from the floor, and try to put it at a really high, let's say a high structure. And by using those kind of like vision recognition, or like a combination of automation and like hands-on control, like manual control, And the most exciting part is I can always learn some practical structure from it, because all those kind of theories we learn in high school is just like pure theoretical stuff. It's not those kind of terminologies or those kind of principles that you can apply in a really like real life engineering scenario. It's like you learn those kind of physics, you know the energy is conserved, you know like how the principle of electricity can work, but you can never solve those kind of practical life problems because you lack of those kind of knowledge. Right. So that's the reason why I'm really intrigued about first robotics. It's like it provides me opportunity to put my theoretical knowledge into those kind of real life application cases.
And did that feel exciting then?
It's really
feel
exciting.
Useful,
yes.
Feel relevant, real world, practical.
Yeah. So basically I spent almost like 50% of my time in high school doing first robotics. It's like we do have those kind of supportive like senior members from our team to teach us how to use CAD, which is computer aided design, or try to using those kind of softwares to facilitate manufacturing, and as well as how to do material selection, how to do like the whole mechanical design, like how to use pneumatic system, how to design gearbox. All of this are really amazing to me because in the past I'm not familiar with those kind of stuff, but I got a chance to learn.
Wow, that's super, super cool. And I mean, as we all found before applying to uni, is thinking about crafting our profile. And for you to apply to America, they obviously have a very high demand for all-roundedness, you know, leadership, extracurriculars, showing that spike. So how much of your robotics involvement were genuine, just curiosity versus like, oh, it would look really good for my profile?
I thought it's just like general interest. So it's not like specific target or those kind of stuff that I really consider at the moment.
What did you do to boost your profile then? Anything that you wouldn't have done if you didn't need to apply to the US?
Actually, nope. I'm honest.
Very honest.
Yes, I'm really honest. So, well, sorry, I mean like I'm not targeting for my profile for those kind of United States university applications. It's just like for my general interest.
Yeah.
So the reason for me to do first of all is like, the very first reason is like my father and mother really supports me for that, because a lot of students from our school who are interested in this program, like who like face denied entry to this program is like having pressure from the parents, because parents is like, first it's a waste of money, second is like waste of time. If you have the time to do all those kind of robotics related activities, why don't you go for like another problem set, or just like doing more academic works rather than those kind of useless stuffs. But in my opinion, like if you really want some students to do something like well in the future, let's say like engineering related disciplines, let's say engineering or just computer science or mathematics, they should have an interest. So if there's no interest, there's no need, or there's no even any chance for you to predict what they would like to do in the future. So a lot of Chinese parents just like to pick the future for their students by themselves, rather than listen to the opinion or those kind of preferences from their kids. But the thing my parents did is like, they just offer me support. So if I really want to do the stuff, they will just support me to do it. So that is one of the reasons I'm really keen on those kind of stuff. It's like I really like it, so I really want to do it, and which leads to my gradual like constant interests or those kind of general interest or like my passion in engineering in the next 5 or 6 years actually, because I started doing related activities back in middle school. So
wow, that's so cool. Tell me more about your parents. They sound like incredible people.
Yes. So to be honest, I think my father and my mother really guided me through my younger generation ages. It's like they really told me a lot of those kind of things that I still like let's say really looking forward to right now. It's like how to interact with people. It's like sometimes we might think like, let's say generally, if I encounter a foreigner or like some people that I'm not familiar with, how do I talk with them? A lot of Chinese kids might just be really like shy or like afraid, refuse to talk, but they just encourage me like, go for it. You shouldn't like afraid for it, because no one will punish you for that, right? So that's the reason I'm really like keen on tackling any sort of challenges that I face gradually. And also I've mentioned like they really support me doing all those kind of stuff I really likes to do. And also they offer a bit of emotional support, because sometimes when I'm doing those kind of robotic stuffs in those kind of teamwork related environments, I might face a bit of disappointment if I'm managing team but someone just simply do not follow my guideline even if I'm talking something right. So I might feel a bit of disappointed. So they will just like provide me like guidance or like emotional support, telling me like it's normal, like how do you like refine your leadership and how do you try to like remodify your way of tackling this situation in the near future, to like get rid of those kind of similar situations again and those kind of stuff. And it's really, really helpful for me at the moment. So
that's
really
fantastic. Yeah. But what do they really care about in terms of your education?
It's just like it's just like so actually they really provide me the opportunity to like carefully think about what I really like to do. So instead of telling me what I can do, what I can't do, they were trying to like make me to reach out the own decision by myself. So it's like they're trying to navigate me to like practice the skill of making your own decision rather than listen to what others are thinking about. So this can date back into my like choice between the public sector high school or this private international high school. So I can still remember that night when I was like sitting at the desk together with my father and mother. So my father was just asking like, here is a like blank piece of paper. So here's a pen. Is this a contract? It's not. So we were just trying to like, you can just list all those kind of pros and cons and on this piece of paper. And I just listed, let's say, the private school is more costly. And also I might need to learn English well because it's like international curriculum. And I might face completely like different cohorts of people from the new school. And the curriculum might be challenging. So this might be like those kind of cons. But for pros, I was thinking like I might got a better like upper bound for me to get into university. It's like I have the opportunity to get into those kind of famous universities around the world rather than those kind of universities back in China. So I have more choices. And beside of this, I do have the opportunity to get into all those kind of societies because in traditional Chinese public high school, we don't have those kind of steps. And all those kind of logical thinking like leads me towards the final decision, which is opting for the internal school.
That's really cool. So you're saying they didn't tell you anything,
yes,
but they helped you to think and they helped you to reach your own conclusion. So they were there to support you, but they trusted your own judgment.
Yes.
Wow.
So they're just trying
parenting.
to yes, thanks very much like for them to provide all those kind of tutoring or guidance for me.
Are they fluent English speakers?
Actually, yes. So my mother was doing master's studying in Singapore. So like for 2 years.
Wow.
And actually,
what does she teach?
So right now she's in business school.
Yeah.
But the focus is more like a management information system, if you ever heard about it. It's more like a trying to apply those kind of software solutions or databases in a more business related context.
That's
so it's
cool.
a really interesting subject.
Wow.
So,
and Dad?
My dad is just like a sales manager at one of the firm in China. So.
Okay. So Dad's very good at like people skills and you
Yes.
got that from him. That confidence to speak to people, as you said earlier.
Yes.
Wow. That's super cool. Do you ever, obviously I know you're very grateful for them and you understand that their sacrifice and their support has given you so much opportunity. Do you ever like tell them thank you in their face?
Well.
Or is that a bit like awkward? Or do you say I love you to them in Chinese or English?
Well, to be honest, really few time. Because it's like, I think I'm a really tough person. So I'm really not good at dealing all those kind of emotional related stuffs. I mean, I think it's similar like for me as well as my dad. So my dad is also a kind of person who's really tough and never wants to express his emotional thoughts like towards surrounding people. So I think I just inherit
his preferences in handling those kind of emotion related stuff. But yeah.
How about I say, if you could say some nice things of love here just to store in the recording, and I'll say just go for it. You got nothing to lose.
Yes, sure. Yeah, that's very true. Sounds familiar to me. Well,
to mum and dad, and can you speak each person in Chinese and English so we capture your language skills?
Yes, sure.
I'm sure you're good at Chinese.
Well, 这个妈妈非常感谢你在过去的18年里的话，能给我提供很多的这种情感支持和一些帮助。So actually, like, thank you, Mom. Like, thank you for you providing me all those kind of emotional or just general support in the last 18 years. 然后对于我爸爸的话，我需要感谢你跟我妈妈一起去对我做很多决定的这个支持，然后去指导我去通过理性的思考来达出一些这个结果或者是一些决定。So thank you, my father, as well as my mother, to help me, to teach me like how to like lay out and do logical thinking and trying to reach out the conclusion gradually. Thanks very much.
That's really nice, and I'm sure they're incredibly proud of you, not just for, I think, the so-called objective achievements in grades or anything, but more for the general attitude you have, the ambitions you have, the perseverance you demonstrated, and the gratitude that you show. Because I think none of us get through life alone, and I think it's always wise to recognize the chance factors and just how fortunate we all are and privileged we are to have the options we have now. You also entered economics competitions.
Yes.
What did that involve?
So the competition was called like National Economics Challenge. So it's also like United States based competition that has those kind of.
And you won it.
It's not kind of won it. It's like I got a bit of awards for that.
What did you get?
It's like a top gold like in regional events.
Wow.
I mean, it's not that good, but
sounds
like
quite
considering
impressive.
I made like students who are really a lot of those kind of engineering related activities.
Yeah.
That's a really good achievement for me. So yeah. Well, so actually I do have a really like diversified interest.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I was choosing to study economics back in high school, and I really think it's a really good decision for me till now, because it provides me like different like methods of thinking.
Yeah.
Because for engineering or just general physics or scientific subjects, I only have like 1 or 2 correct answers for everything. But for economics, I can just try to discuss both sides and try
Evaluate,
to evaluate something. So
Mm.
it provides me all those kind of skills of evaluation. So the reason for me to opt in this challenge is just like practice my skills of economics, as well as like trying to work in a team. So at that time we got like a team of 4 person, and we study every day together and trying to teach each other all those kind of like economic related terms.
Wow.
And we just gather together to do all those kind of problem sets and trying to practice our speaking or logical thinking or those kind of stuff, etc., etc. And think about that period of time is like I really enjoyed that piece of friendship.
That's really cool.
Yes.
It's very special, I think. Almost like you were in the trenches together. Like.
Yes. So basically, like in like a year later, when we were like in the final year of before graduation, we were getting together, like saying like, well, yeah, look at what we did. So it's just like most of us didn't like.
Very special. You don't appreciate it fully in the moment, but.
Yeah, because 3 of 4 teammates didn't go for economics related study in university. So we were just like thinking like we really learned a lot through the competition. Although we didn't opt for economic studying advanced like level, but it's just still useful, and the friendship, the way we learn, the way we interact, the way we fight together for the common goal is really transferable skill, and it's really valuable for me.
Where are they now?
So one of our teammates is at like LSE, like is still in the UK, and the other student is now at United States. 2 of them are both at United States, but one of them is like University of Illinois, like Urbana-Champaign, and doing engineering as well.
Nice.
Sorry, it's mathematics. So it's like STEM related subject, but he haven't declared his major yet.
Part of me feels like in a few years' time, you're going to meet up somewhere and start your own startup, and it's going to be an iconic group again for the reunion.
Possibly. And the other person is like at Quan College. It's also like a school in the United States, like somewhere in the east of United States, but I'm not so familiar with it. So
okay, you're so you were in Wuhan, but I believe you did your primary school in Beijing, as you said in your bio.
Yes, 2 years.
2 years. Oh, why? What happened?
So actually for that 2 years.
How old were you? Which 2 years?
It's like, actually like it's grade 2 and grade 3 in China,
Okay.
which is like around 8 or 9 for me.
Mm.
And the reason for that is like my father moved to Beijing for 2 years work.
Okay.
So I just simply moved to Beijing together with him.
Okay.
And
mum stayed?
Actually, my mother was still working in Wuhan, so
Okay.
she just like sometimes flies towards Beijing to look at me as well as my father. So
Okay.
she was a really like busy
Did you
commuter.
miss mum?
Actually, yes, but no. Because like as a kid, and you are also doing all those
more
kind
freedom.
of doing all those kind of academic activities, as well as in, like meeting all of your friends. You don't have a lot of time, like really think of like where's mom. So well, yeah. So I mean, it's not good, but well, but I'm trying to be honest. So
so in primary school, did mum and dad make you do homework, or did they make you, say, learn an instrument, like, or did they just go, look, your future, we're here to support you, get out the sheet of paper, write your pros and cons, write out what you want, and then make your decision?
Oh, so actually at that 2 years, my mother and father like this is the only time that they were doing this. Is like they were pushing me to do a bit of advanced mathematics studies.
Ooh.
I mean, this is the only time I have to mention. It's the only time they try to force me to do something. But soon after they realized, like, I don't like it. So they just forgave the idea. But I have to say that, like, since then, I really don't like a bit of mathematics stuff. It's like pure mathematics related activities. So that might be another reason I'm really keen on engineering. It's like, I don't like pure math. So I would like to have, like, use mathematics or physics for those kind of application-wise stuffs rather than pure theoretical research. So I just simply opt for engineering, and that's another reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any other, like, did you do sports? Did you do music? Like, just any creative or active pursuits? And trust me, I'm not trying to push you in CAS. I'm just...
So, actually, in terms of sports, I've done a lot. So I was doing a bit of ping pong, like, when I was, like, grade 1 in primary school. And then I do a bit of, like, soccer when I was grade 2 and 3. Then I played basketball from grade 3 to, like, grade 9.
Nice. We'll have to play basketball sometime.
Yes, but I stopped playing it, like, in the last, like, 3 or 4 years because I got an injury in my elbow.
Oh, okay.
And, like, in order
to come back to it.
Actually, I'm, like, fully recovered right now, but in order to prevent me, like, from hurting myself again before international exams, I have to stand back for the hobby.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So at that point, how big was your world? Like, were you just thinking about China? Were you just thinking about your city? Or were you thinking about America, UK? Like, to you as a kid, how big was the world?
I think it's huge.
It's huge.
For a kid.
Okay.
So at the time, like, my mother was studying in Singapore, so I already know another country since I was young.
So you went to visit?
Yes, like around like 12 years ago.
Wow, okay. And that's while she was studying?
Yes.
Okay. That's quite cool how she studied even after having you.
Sorry?
Like, she studied after giving birth to you?
Actually, it's like before giving birth to me.
Oh, and you still visited? How were you alive?
I mean, like, not like the time that she was studying
No,
there.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case then, do you feel like from an early age you always had an inkling that you wanted to explore like a little bird out of the cage and just...
Yes.
Okay.
So, actually, when I was young, like, for, like, my, like, daily routine is just, like walking around, like, several blocks around my home.
Yeah.
So, it's just, like, really small, like, city, let's say. Like, actually, Wuhan is really huge, but...
Like, massive, yeah.
When I was, like, young, I think it's just, like, really small town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a town, but... And, when I went to Singapore, as well as, like, Hong Kong, and also like United States in 2013. I found like the world is like bigger than I could think of. So I was thinking like, well, yeah, it's really good for me to have a look at the like world, like, and even like opting for some place like foreign university to study if I can got the chance. And because my father was working for like a foreign firm when he like once graduated from university, so he got a chance to visit the United States for a bit of like traveling or like training. So he was a really like frequent visitor for the United States. So he always talked me about all those kind of United States related activities. So I really keen on like going to university in the United States when I was like in middle school or like even younger. Yeah. So.
Wow, that's really cool. And now that you've got to Cambridge, you have such a brilliant first year. You know, you were part of the CAMSIF, Cambridge Student Investment Fund. You were a great TMT analyst for us. I'd also saw you at the Q matchmaking event, the Cambridge University Entrepreneurs. You've been doing your startup competitions. You've clearly gone above and beyond your academic studies to do these extra pursuits. What was your thinking heading into university? What did you want out of Cambridge?
So actually, so the first reason is like Cambridge do have a really strong academic record, so the university is really good at teaching. And the other thing that I'm considering about Cambridge is like Cambridge can provide me the way to speak in front of others. So actually at the same time I got an offer from Carnegie Mellon in the United States, and I was also considering of going to the school. But like the major factor that contributed to my choice for Cambridge is like I think Cambridge really provides me a platform, because like a lot of people in the world just simply say like if you ever graduate from those kind of Oxford or like even Ivy Leagues, then you are like widely recognized smart people. I mean, this seems like ridiculous for us, right? Because we do have all those kind of smart people from other institutions around the world, or even like those kind of like colleges or like people who didn't go to university. But that's the way how the society works. So the society thinks like people who can get into Oxbridge or Ivy Leagues have the best ability, and they're like trustworthy. So in order to make me have the opportunity to speak in front of all those kind of people, I have to make my choice for Cambridge, or otherwise my thoughts or my opinion or the thing that I want to do can never be heard of in front of them.
So, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So you're saying that even though reality shows that there are a variety of factors that contribute towards the opportunities we have, such as what universities we can get to, but we humans, for simplicity's sake, we just assume that a branding like Cambridge, Oxford, it's like signaling that you have other abilities, and therefore it saves employers time and saves them money to just trust you, or you have a higher probability of being smarter, at least.
Yes, so it's really like unfortunate, because like if I opting for other sorts of universities or go for like those kind of institutions that seems less prestige compared with Cambridge, I won't have the chance to sit in front of them.
So you believe prestige is a real force in the world?
But I don't agree with it.
But you think in reality it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Why do you not agree with it? I know, like, are you saying you don't agree with it from a practical standpoint or from a moral standpoint?
Moral standpoint. Or actually like both of it. Because...
Elaborate.
So basically like in terms of moral, it's like people are influenced by their social or economic backgrounds for sure. And not all of them are receiving the same quality of education. So like for me, I think I'm really like in good luck, because my high school is not that good enough, and we don't have all those kind of available resources in hand. So like being accepted by Cambridge is really like a gift for me, like in some extent. So, but actually I have to say like I really got like a few classmates like in my cohort that is really like strong or even better at academics than me, but they don't have the chance to get in Cambridge just because like they are less like social or economically unprivileged in some instances, and they just simply opt for those kind of like less prestige university compared with Cambridge. And yeah, and the other standard is like Cambridge and Oxford is based on like a selection criteria of pure academic standards, I think. So if you can do really well in all those kind of exams, you can get accepted into it. But like let's say for engineering is more like a practical subject, so it really requires a lot of hands-on projects and your ability of solving like real life problems. But I do find like like a few like students at Cambridge, a few, they're really good at like doing all those kind of tripos questions, but they lack of the ability of doing all those kind of practical related stuff.
So, if, as you said, you and compared to another group of people equally smart, and perhaps they're even smarter, but you have been fortunate with perhaps financial opportunities or whatever it is, that because of factors that are not really, you didn't really earn it per se, but you still benefited from it. Does that mean then you have a extra responsibility to use that well? And if so, what does it mean? What does that responsibility mean?
So actually the responsibility for me is trying to, it's a really nice idea. It's like trying to make use of engineering to try to like make the life of those kind of so when I was in high school, I was thinking like trying to make those life of the disabled people better, because actually in China most of them like simply disappears from the society. So actually in high school when I was doing a project like creating a bit of like smart wheelchairs for them and trying to help them like get out of the room, because a lot of those kind of public facilities in China is not adapted for them. So people are always saying like in China there is no disabled people, but it's not. So according to those kind of statistic related evidences, the amount of people in China with disability is huge, but due to lack of those kind of facilities, can only stay in home. And because the affordability is not that good compared with those kind of richer people or people with like all hands or legs working, and they don't have the chance to opting for all those kind of advanced supports, or trying to find someone to help them or cater them, or even like move them out of their home and trying to walk around. So they lack of the chance. So the thing that I was trying to do from Cambridge is trying to like find like-minded peer, and try and do a bit of startup in the future, and trying to focus on developing all those kind of like disabled people focused like robotics, and trying to help their life easier. And that was the reason that I was thinking I can come to Cambridge and trying to do the thing.
Wow, that's incredibly thoughtful and heartwarming. It's a really, really, really kind, and I think that definitely warms my heart to know that someone not only appreciates their privilege but understands their extra responsibility to then serve, and to not just be completely greedy and just always just think about ourselves, as we all naturally have an instinct to, but to think bigger and broader, and to show that empathy in other people.
Yes.
Again, that's a real compliment to your parents, I think.
Yes.
Where we are is a huge representation of the values and the examples that our family has set for us. So it seems like they have really modelled that kind of generosity and openness, and yeah, that's really cool. And I really wish that your ideas can work, because I think those who are indeed most vulnerable and weak are often ostracized by society, but actually it's often not their fault, and society can be a very unforgiving place, and in reality it could be any of us, right? We are all one mistake, one bad decision away from losing our fortune or whatever it is, and making a mistake. So I think to see everyone's full humanity, and to see that we're all more similar than different, then it feels good, and I think it's a good, meaningful, fulfilling way to live, which is really cool.
And also because I'm now studying Cambridge, or even graduate from Cambridge, in those kind of situations, when I speak to people about the idea, people tend to believe in me, because it's like smarter people from Cambridge saying I have to do this, so we will try to secure funds for you and try to do this thing together with you. But if I opt in other university, they may just think how do you prove that you are having a really good idea? How can I believe in you? So that's the difference when I'm considering go to university, and that's the reason for me to go for Cambridge.
Well, you sound like you could do humanity, because this is basically humanities, which is diagnosing the social reality and then producing theories to critique why or hypothesize why, say, social inequality occur, how it reproduces through generations, how, say, the financial system or how school can force people to adopt even ways of thinking. It's really fascinating, and I feel like for me, my degree at Cambridge has given me that greater perspective on, this is called the structure versus agency debate. I'm sure you've heard, like, structure would be more of the things that you can't control, and then agency would be like, oh, well, you know, the American dream that if you work hard then you will get there. Or like racism, you know, like, oh, now racism doesn't exist anymore, but the critical race scholars like Bunilla Silver, for example, would raise how colourblind racism, such as, you know, like Martin Luther King say, you know, I wish my children could grow up in a society where they're not judged by the colour of their skin but by the content of their character. But that's just an ideal, because if that is truly true, then that neglects the historical inequality and the structural barriers that perhaps people with race face. But it's super fascinating, and it's really cool that you as an engineering student are actively thinking about it and trying to combine the technical with the theoretical. That's really cool.
So actually, I do have another experience, like back in Beijing. So actually, when I was like firstly opt-in for the new school, I was facing like completely new cohort of people. So all of my classmates are really friendly, but my head teacher was not. It's just like, you're from Wuhan, you're not from Beijing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that matters.
Yes. So she's not really good, like treating me compared with those kind of like.
Not cool for a teacher to discriminate based on something you can't control.
Yeah, but that's a fact. So that's the thing that I was experiencing. So as a kid, I think unfortunately I was experiencing a bit of discrimination at a really early stage. So I really got a really clear view towards what is discrimination.
Wow.
It's like a culture or like geographical discrimination, those kind of stuff. Because like you're from like a smaller city or like a less developed town, so I just treat you differently.
I think it's Martin Luther King, but don't quote me on it. But the quote goes something like, you know, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. As in, like, we're not there yet, but we're, as a society, as a race, as a humanity, we are eventually going to approach equality, justice, or the good values. Do you feel that way? Are you optimistic, or will there be a persistent problem?
Actually, I think it's getting better.
But will it keep getting better?
I think it will.
How will it get better?
Or like in the near future, if I got kids, I will teach him or her like, you shouldn't do that, because like people are all equally the same. Because like
we need you to have lots of kids.
Well, that's the thing that I cannot control.
You can.
Well. Yeah. So yeah. And actually,
don't blame structure for that. No, I'm kidding.
The other funniest fact that I like came back to Wuhan after that is like I opted back from the same school, the same class, or even the same year, and I was facing the same cohort of people that like before I leave Wuhan for Beijing. And once I get back to primary school, the original one in Wuhan, they started mocking at me.
Mocking you?
Yes.
Why? For what?
Beijing accent. Because I was saying it completely like different manner compared with the cohort of students in the original class. So they were saying like, look, Ryan came back from Beijing, so he's basically like speaking all those kind of like Beijing style phrases, and he's trying to showing off. But I mean, like as a kid, I stayed here for 2 years. I'm not showing off anything at all. It's just like I learned those kind of phrases from my.
So when they were mocking you, did you feel like it was malicious, or they were just having fun?
I hope they're having fun, but I don't know, to be honest.
But you felt hurt. You actually felt hurt. Did you tell them?
Yeah. And
how did they respond?
They continued doing so.
Wow. Did you speak to your parents or teachers about it?
Actually, I think at that time I'm just alright, because at that time I'm a bit nervous, so I don't want to like because I was telling my teacher or like my parents about those kind of scenarios, but like if they are not handling the situation properly, which they might do, I might just simply have no friends at all. So yeah, I mean, as a kid, that's the thing that I'm concerned at the moment.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true. That's why I feel like school is just such an fascinating but scary place where, on the one hand, it changes or it builds the foundation that sets you on a positive trajectory, but on the other hand, we're not moderated and we're not fostered with the cultures of inclusivity and kindness and generosity that we all want, then it hurts kids, and kids don't always have the wider perspective at that point. And obviously you probably look back now and go, it's probably not a big deal, it's just a few kids who they themselves aren't very mature. But at that age, that is your whole life, right? That is your friendship. These are people whose judgment mean the world to you. And I feel very lucky that I don't recall hardcore bullying or anything, experiencing it, but I do know just so many people who have felt really hurt by the mockery, the put downs of other people, and it scars them. It's something you never really quite forget, and I'm glad for you that you can see it in perspective now and to still think about society for good. But for a lot of people, they become bitter and resentful and just feel apathetic that the world is not a lovely place and human nature is not good, and it's just not true, or at least it's not a good way to live life, I think.
So I think I'm a kind of person like who really likes to like pivoting the way that I live my life. So it's like so right now I think it's not a big deal at all for me, but all those kind of past experiences really craze me right now. So it's like all those kind of sad memories, or those kind of good memories from parents, or those kind of all sorts of different geographical or cultural experiences really makes me today. So it's like that's the reason why I can handle a lot of those kind of situations, or trying to provide some like different insights about different stuffs that is happening in the world and those kind of stuffs. And actually I think like the only thing that I'm missing right now is like a bit of a sense of belonging, a little bit of it. It's more like if ever people ask me like where did you come from, I will just say Wuhan or like China, right? But the case is why I'm from Wuhan. It's not like geographical I'm from Wuhan, but in cultural aspect, I think I'm from everywhere. Beijing or Wuhan or like anywhere that I travel to, because I think I'm like my personality or like my ways of thinking cannot be clustered into a specific city or a specific region. It's more like the way that I try to like seek out for possible solutions might be different compared with my friends back in Wuhan, and my way of communicating with people might different from like people who live in Beijing. So basically, I'm more like a mixture. So yeah, for all those kind of aspects in life.
So I feel like you feel a tension, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you feel this tension between what the world is or what it should be versus how people very imperfectly assume things or imperfectly judge other people. Is that correct? Is that a right perception that I'm having? That
I think so.
And is that a tension that you think about or you feel frustrated or annoyed about, or is it just you have accepted that there will be this perception versus reality gap? That
I think like the society is just trying to like separate people from each other, applying tax towards every entity in the society. And some of the tax are good, some of the tax are not good. But some of those kind of like comments or phrases just creates confusion for some of people. Like this is how society works. I mean, to be honest, I think we have to, accept it right now, but we might be able to take action in the future, try to solve the problem gradually, because it's just really confusing for some of the people in the society. especially like you are using a bit of matrix or like text to say like where you come from. So like let's say if you're from Shenzhen, then you're well educated, then you're well mannered, then you know almost everything, and you are really good at doing something. It's more like biasing those kind of stuff. So that's the reason I'm thinking like I'm not so sure like if others ask me like where am I from, how do I respond to them? It's like if I said like I'm from Wuhan, should they lower expectations towards me, or what should they do then? So yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's like different different city have different tags, and let's say in terms of major, like if I said like I'm doing engineering, you might think like I'm really good at mathematics, I'm really good at doing those kind of trivial questions. But what will happen if I tell you I'm not good at doing trivial questions? Would you feel like frustrated, or like I didn't meet your expectation of an engineer, or those kind of stuff?
So what's the ideal student profile?
Well, then that's a very good question. Then I mean, everyone is imperfect. So yeah.
So, I know you listened to Ashton's, the Singaporean, on the podcast a few weeks ago, and you said you really enjoyed his. In the first part of his, we talked about his research, which is about a comparison between a Confucian perspective on human nature versus the legalism perspective as represented by Han Fei. So, in brief, just to refresh your memory, Confucius believes that humans are fundamentally good. We are born with the dispositions of goodness, of benevolence, of kindness. So therefore, what society ought to do is to, say, build schools or create good structures that enable people to grow into their goodness, to grow into what they already are born with, but it's just helping them to reach their potential. The legalism perspective would take a totally different pessimistic view as a starting point to actually human beings are fundamentally evil, profit-driven, greedy, rude, lazy, and therefore the only way that we can progress society is to not trust anyone but just impose rules and incentives, because that's the only thing that can move people and get them to change action. Obviously both are quite extreme, but fundamentally in your heart, are humans good, bad? Like fundamentally at its core, where do you think truth sits in terms of human nature?
So actually I think I will be more optimistic. So I think like all the people are born to be good. So like due to the society, I mean how the society works, some people are more like frustrated. So some people disbelieve, like some people are like good, so they tend to do something bad towards society gradually. But some people, when facing those kind of difficulties or like setbacks, they still believe that the society is good. So they still continue to contribute to what the society, do the thing that can make society better. So actually I would like to say like I think I'm the kind of person who is doing the same stuff right now. I mean, I'm not like having a really like severe setback or those kind of demotivation related events like happening on me. So I think I'm still optimistic towards society, and I think like people are good. The people surrounding me is always good, and we're all working together to deliver a better future for all of us.
You mentioned disability as a course that you care about. Any other courses that you feel particularly resonate with you and that you're passionate about?
It's like the uneven distribution of educational resources.
So like equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. What Jania was thinking about Hope School.
So actually we were like talking about those kind of related thoughts together. So actually that was the reason why we are like having the same, like we are in the same startup group for the competition then. So we are like sharing our mindsets as well as together with Shen. So there's like three of us having the similar mindsets. So we're all trying to get together to do something well for the society in the near future. I mean, it's in long term, but in short term, we might have like different objectives, goals that we need to realize.
So, You've mentioned a few times to me that you're not the typical engineering student. What does that mean?
So I have to admit that I'm not really a good person who is like good at doing all those kind of exam questions. So I do have my own understanding of all those kind of engineering concepts. So I do have my passion in putting all them together to try to make something that can like help people or just trying to achieve a certain objective. But right now, the Cambridge curriculum is more like teaching you how to do the exams well, rather than like applying all those kind of theoretical knowledge towards engineering application. So, so this is one of the reasons that I differentiate from like a typical engineer. The other stuff that I have a really wide range of interests. It's like I love all those kind of banking related stuffs, and I love the finance sector because like my father was a salesperson, so I really love the mixture between engineering and like business world. So that's the reason I'm really keen on financial related services or sectors like in the near future for my potential career path. And in addition to that, I think most of the engineers are not good at socializing with others. So yeah, I mean like engineers are always doing those kind of tasks of facing numbers and trying to diagnose through all those kind of problems in the society and trying to like make something happen. So they just basically lack this kind of communication skills and trying to like to gather together some people to do good things together or like even realize their own dreams sometimes, something like that. And the first point, I think I'm different from like typical engineers. Like I do spend a lot of time doing extracurriculars. It's not like kind of like only like engineering related extracurriculars. I'm doing gliding. I'm also doing like traveling, and I'm also doing like CAMSIF, which is
I know CAMSIF.
Yeah. Yeah, you were the president. So it's like just doing like all those kind of non-typical engineering related events. So yeah.
Awesome. And so you did an spring in equity research.
So it's more like
asset management.
Like yeah, it's more like a summer insight. So yeah, it's like from like Lazard asset management. So
you like it?
Yes, I like it really. I really loved it. So basically, I got a like mentor. Like he's really helpful. He almost navigates me through everything. I mean, it's not like everything, but once I got like questions, I can just approach him and he will provide me a bit of insight. So actually, it's like a 5-day program, and the only thing that we need to deliver is like a stock pitch, without valuation because it's a spring. And insight. So, but because I formed my thesis statement like well before the deadline, and I've also got really well established evidences. So my mentor decided to give me a bit of sell-side report as well as earning calls. So like he handed over me like 350 pages of sell-side reports and earning calls overnight, and he urges me to finish reading them overnight. So the other 4 peers that I was working with at the time, they're saying like you can't do it overnight, but I just did it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I really liked it. I really liked the way like all those kind of smart analysts from other firms is trying to navigate trying to analyze the stock. So once I was reading through their thoughts, I was thinking like, oh, I agree with you because I have like similar viewpoints or like data from those kind of annual reports or financial statements like supporting the thesis. Or sometimes you might figure out like there's points that you don't agree with because I'm working now for the buy side. You have to make up your own decision. So I have to think of like why this point is valid or why this point is not. Am I wrong or is he correct? So basically I got a chance. It's like I'm just talking to them directly and they're just trying to facilitate me from like thinking more about the situation and trying to search for new information from open sources and trying to reach out a really solid decision. It's basically like you're gathering information from a lot of sources and trying to reach a really nice or like well-backed like decision for your whole steps. So I really enjoyed those kind of like virtual communication with all those kind of writers from those firms. So
you've achieved a lot across a number of different things, and you know, obviously some of that is just, you know, simple perseverance, passion, but if you were being totally honest, how have you been able to excel, and what do you think you do that's quite unique that really helps you to not beat the competition, but like to just, yeah, get ahead? And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, just how have you been able to improve yourself so rapidly and so efficiently?
So it's like two keywords is passion and belief. So for passion, it's like I'm doing the thing that I really like. So no one is forcing me to do anything that I really don't want to do. So like in terms of engineering, I like robotics, so I go for robotics. I love all those kind of active research related stuff, so I go for it. So when I get bored with engineering, I will go for a bit of active research, and vice versa. So basically I can make use my time like efficiently, or like otherwise if I get bored for both of them, I will go for gliding, which is like a really good way for you to escape from all those kind of academic or like professional related works.
So basically, because you have many interests that you like,
Yes.
when obviously our brain can only take in so much, when you take in enough, you can just switch without basically losing efficiency because you're always just working on something, but your brain gets that diversity and gets that change, and it's actually quite exciting. Okay, that's really interesting. Really, really interesting. That's, to be fair, I would relate to that with like IB especially, where there's so much to do, but because the subjects are so different, you can, do 2 hours of physics and then switch to economics and then switch to like Chinese and then English,
Yeah,
You'll never get, well, in fact, you have to switch because you can't just do the one thing the whole time. Yeah, that's really cool. Looking at your CV and everything, you've accomplished a lot, but our CVs are also, it omits the inevitable downs that we've had, the failures that we've had. Was there any major points of disappointment or major just setbacks that you faced? And I'm comfortable asking that because I know you're very happy with life now.
Yes. So actually I think like 2 steps. So the first thing is like in terms of academic achievement. So basic, as I've mentioned, like I failed my like high school entrance exam. It's not like fail, but I didn't achieve my objective. So I didn't got a chance to go into the like certain curriculum, which is IB that I want to study for the high school, for the 3 years of high school. So I just simply failed it. So at that time I was a little disappointed because at that time it's a really like a major setback for me because I was always succeeding since young. Like I was always doing like good at my primary school, and also like in middle school. Although I have a bit of like decreasing performance in the second year of my middle school, but I returned to my peak status in the final year in my middle school. So I was thinking like everything will go well. I will go to the best curriculum at our school, and I will target for the best university, and I will always aim for the best. But at that time, I figured out like that might not be the case. I might not be able to succeed every time. So I have to came out a way to handle it. It's not like finding an excuse for me. It's like it's a really natural like symptom or like a situation that I have to accept. So I think I do spend the really long period of time trying to like think of a way to like to overcome it emotionally, because I was like always thinking like I can always do the best, like I will never like make my parents disappointed sometimes, right? It's I mean, yeah, I'm trying to be honest. And also what would I go if I always fail? It's like if I fail the university application, if I fail all those kind of international examinations in high school, where will I end up with? So that's a really, question that I have to consider about at the moment. And the other step back is like emotional wise, relationship wise. So I do have a girlfriend back in high school, but so we were like working together and trying to apply universities all together, and we always support each other, like from all the aspects, and like doing all those kind of standardized tests and trying to navigate through those kind of university or like country choices. So basically help each other. So at that time, like previously, I wasn't thinking about applying to Cambridge because she really likes Cambridge and she plans to apply to it as well. So I was actually like following her like preferences and trying to apply to the same university. And
so you can stay with her.
Yeah, and we might possibly stay together. And the fact is, like, I got accepted without much preparation because I was like just like trying to apply to the university together with her. But she got rejected, unfortunately. And that's the time that I see like those kind of like life-changing decisions might severely affect people. So after that, I just saw like she changed the way like to she changed her like attitude towards all those kind of academic related activities. So she turned from like optimistic style of person towards the people that lacked of confidence, just due to the failure. Because let's imagine if a person who wants to go to university like for 3 years suddenly got rejected.
She felt shattered.
Yes. So I was thinking like when I was in like middle school, like facing the high school entrance exam, I failed it and I've also made up my mind for all those kind of failures, but I might encounter in the near future, but she didn't. So it's like this disruption leads to like gradual like discrepancies between us. Tensions and also like discussion like, yeah, like you were like much stronger than me, why you were still talking with me then? And
you're much what?
Like why you are like much like stronger than me in those kind of academic performances, but why you were still talking with me then?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was thinking like all those kind of decisions will like change people gradually.
So you felt very humbled by realizing just how unpredictable life can be.
Yeah. So actually at that time, like I mean like 2 or 3 days before the release of the result, and I never thought I might break up with her. But gradually this is the outcome. So yeah. So that was a really like tough experience for me.
It's not your fault to me.
It's, to be honest, it's not my fault. So like
you can't feel bad that you got in Cambridge. Right? You didn't take. I mean, even if there was one place and you took it, you got it by rightful reasons that you applied it. You didn't do anything wrong. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just life.
And no relationship now, or?
No relationship.
Are you looking for one?
Who knows?
Well, you know.
I don't know, to be fair. Well, it's like...
But do you feel like that puts you off a little bit, relationship, at this young age where you might feel like you're not sure, like, say, what job you might go, or what city you might be? Like, does part of you worry about not being able to settle down at this point? Or do you just feel like, look, it doesn't really matter, life will figure itself out when it comes?
I saw like for our like kids, I mean like younger kids, we might think like we only have like those kind of pure feelings towards someone in the world. It's like you just think like...
You think that we only have pure feelings with one person?
Yeah.
Just one?
Yeah, so like it's like a
wow
initial belief.
Yeah.
Initially. But now I might just change my mind a bit. It's like this depends on various factors. Those kind of pure relationships.
So now you feel like it could be...
It's not like a...
You're not destiny necessarily for
yeah. It's more like a opportunity.
It's just who do you choose.
Yeah.
Everyone will have flaws and weaknesses and also strength.
So basically you're just trying to...
So I'm not seeking for perfection.
Yes, you're just seeking for accommodation. It's like accommodate. How do you accommodate between each other? It's like, what's your preference? And I can acknowledge it. And we
what is your preference in terms of relationship?
Like? Well... actually I think independence emotionally, or like in terms of academic related activities, or I mean like those kind of professional development stuff. It's more like I believe in like if you can treat yourself well, then we can treat both of us well. So I'm not trying to live in a society together with someone else. I mean, like, purely depends on someone. So I'm not like saying like I have to have your emotional support, or otherwise I will die from the society. That is not the method that work for me. So I was thinking like you have to be an independent entity, so aside, so we can support ourselves like completely emotional like for each other without like putting our like emotions or those kind of stuff together, like bonding together. I think it's not good for all of us, because you might face a bit of like disaster, or let's say those kind of events that you might not think of before. So once those kind of things happen, you might need to adapt. You have to quickly react towards it, or otherwise, if you really like stick towards this kind of emotional aspects, or just like stick to a bit of illusion in the past, you might just stuck in it. You will never like stand out or like progress your life without those kind of like staying in the shadow of it.
Do they need to be Chinese?
Actually, I don't have those kind of preferences, to be honest. It's more like have to be like-minded.
What does that mean?
We might share the same work ethics. It's like we are sharing the same way that we are working. When we are like sharing the same attitude towards life. It's like, for me, it's like a mixture of work and life balance. Yeah, so it's more like those kind of steps rather than race or yeah.
Cool. In the context of giving you a legacy-worthy interview, a piece of recording that captures a snapshot of where you are and you can look back to it 20, 30, 40 years down the track with great meaning, and we'll see how much of this come to fruition, or how life diverts and changes beyond our widest imaginations at this point in time. I've got a round of rapid-fire questions, but before then, is there anything else that you feel like is really important for you to keep in the recording? I know we've covered a lot, but anything else you want to just keep in here, or else I'll wrap up.
So the other thing I have to mention is I really value friendship. So I really like to make friends. So I believe in all of my friends are not identical. I'm not saying like I'm trying to make use of any more friends, and I won't do in the future. It's like friends is just like friends, so they can provide a bit of like support, or they can just be a person that can listen to your own stories, or you might even share the same opinion or have like similar mindsets that you can do something together. So basically, like friend is a really important aspect of our life. So some people really like don't like those kind of socializing with others, so they just simply let them out in their room doing all those kind of like doing gaming or just like programming, academic studying. But I'm a person that requires socializing, because I think friends can provide like a lot of those kind of fun features, or even like just general like new fresh airs in life. So I really value my friends.
Great. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Oh, sorry.
What's your favorite season?
Summer. Because
no, the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Favorite breakfast?
Okay, so breakfast, full English breakfast.
What time do you usually sleep?
1 in the morning.
Wow. And when do you wake up?
7:30.
You don't sleep much.
Yes.
Is that okay?
At least I'm alive. Well.
Why? Do you force yourself to get up, or you just naturally wake up?
I force myself to get up.
Even though you're tired?
Yes.
And what do you do? Why wake up that early?
Because I think like I have to like make the most of the time that I can reach. So like you have to like try to spend a lot of time like trying to, let's say, like having fun with your friends. That's one aspect, and trying to participate in all those kind of societies, and also learn all those kind of academic related stuff, or trying to like do a bit of personal development all at the same time. So basically like 24 hours every day is not enough for me, to be honest. So I really like hope like I can get more time.
Favorite type of music?
Electronic dance music.
What's a few of the nicknames you've been given?
So nicknames. Okay, so very fun nickname. It's like in Chinese, it's called like 白面馍馍. It's more. I'm not so sure how to translate it. It's like a bit of like Chinese cuisine and made of like flour and.
Why do you have to?
Because when I was young, I was having like relatively like those kind of light skin color compared with my friends or like my classmates, so they just gave me the nickname. It's like 白面馍. It's like saying that you are like having like lighter color skin compared with your friends. And yeah.
Very cute.
Yes.
What's the most influential book that you've read?
Let me think of. I'm trying to pick the right one. I might say a scientific novel. It's called The Martian.
And finish the sentence. The way to my heart is.
The way to my heart is, to be honest.
Would you ever have kids?
Not sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we need you to have kids for the moral values of society.
Okay, so I will.
for humanity, please.
Yes, I will take you on.
Would you ever get tattoos?
You mean choose what?
Tattoos, would you get tattoos?
Maybe I won't.
Okay.
Just like personal preference, but I don't have any sort of opinions for it.
Do you want to be super rich?
I want to be, like, let's say, financially, possibly not. I mean, like, I don't have a strong preference for that, but emotionally or psychologically, I want to be rich. I mean, in terms of, like, reaching knowledge, reaching friendship, reaching all those kind of thoughts.
Second to last question then. You've mentioned how you want this sense of balance in life.
Yeah.
People find it in different ways. People find it in, friendships, relationships, work, religion, knowledge pursuits, exercise, and in reality it's probably a combination of all of that. Again, back to the idea of truth, like, are there objectively things that are universal in this world? Like, people who are religious would say God is universal, right? It doesn't matter how old you are, what culture you're in, what language you speak, like, God exists and God loves everybody equally. Yeah. Other people who say go with like stoicism, they believe that no matter where you are, there are things you can control in life, there are things you can't control in life, and life is better if you just control what you can control. So it's a broad question, but what do you think is potentially universal for everybody across culture, across time, that is just shared amongst all of us? Or, yeah.
I think it's courage and belief. So like let's say dated back to like 1,000 years before we have all those kind of civilization, our ancestors have courage.
So some sense of value and moral instinct that's common.
Okay.
So it's an attribute, not a thing.
Okay, so attribute.
But is it? I'm just wondering.
Actually, I think it's an attribute. Okay. So it's like, because you're courage, then you have you have your own mindset to attack all those kind of challenges you face in the society, and because you have belief, then you think once you encounter like even if it's like a disaster, you still got a chance to survive, or you got those kind of belief that you think you will overcome it. So I think the most important factor that leads development of human beings in the last few 1,000 years is just like courage and belief. So all of us believing that we can try to make the society better, and all of us can survive all those kind of disasters, then belief and courage.
Do you believe in God?
Actually, nope. It's because I believe in myself. It's like, I think, by utilizing my own efforts as well as my friends' efforts, or even like those kind of people around me, we can try to reach out a like scenario or those kind of outcome that we design altogether with our own efforts, not relying on others.
Final question, and that's with, you know, the context of all the things that you have done in life. You know, obviously now you're at Cambridge Fitz, you know, studying engineering, just finished your first year, but it's quite an extraordinary journey in the lead up to it, you know, in Wuhan, with your parents' sacrifice or parents' support, only ever forcing you once to do advanced math, but otherwise supporting you. Mum being a university lecturer and professor in business, dad, you know, getting that second chance academically with IBM and getting selected through such a studious and difficult selection process. I'm sure he was being very humble, but he definitely would have been very capable and at least have demonstrated his capabilities and doing, you know, 20 years at IBM, Alibaba sales, kind of the sacrifice that they have made for you to enjoy the best possible opportunities, for you to grow up and have those 2 years in Beijing where you felt firsthand the difference of being an outsider and not from the main city, not from the core group, noticing the head teacher really just treating you differently, even though it was unfair. It highlighted to you the matter of reality that discrimination does happen, and it's even at a school where it should be anything but that.
Yes.
And then for you to go back to Wuhan in those 2 years, after those 2 years, and having developed a bit of Beijing style or accent, to be picked on, to feel a bit alone and trapped, that you almost feel like you have to just accept the bullying even though it hurts, but you just don't have a choice because you don't want to lose anyone to contact with, to interact with, the hard work that you put in, you know, the times that you failed with your exams and perhaps not gotten the grades that you either worked hard for or really wanted, but to have them as wake-up calls and to be resilient and to work really hard. And then to get to that high school level of thinking about what you want out of your life. You knew that you didn't want to regret opportunities. You wanted to just have the options to be able to apply for a variety of different things, both domestically and abroad. Even though you didn't get into the IB, didn't get the score for the IB, you signed up for A-level, but then decided to do AP as well, taking on the double workload. But even though you had that confidence, you were still unsure of whether you could reach the very top university. So in the US, you looked at UCLA, I think it was UCLA, and then in UK, you were thinking about Imperial, and I think part of you probably just didn't want to vocalize Cambridge or Harvard or MIT, but probably I do feel like deep down you thought maybe, just maybe, you could get there. Obviously, history has shown that you have made it, which is really good news. But for you during that time to really explore your interests hands-on, you know, leading the robotics club, signing up for the economics competition, exemplifying that courage to embrace change, to try out different things, to have the support of your family, to then, you know, to think about, you know, the pros and cons, you know, that night of dad bringing out that piece of paper, for you to go through that relationship as well, and to initially think that things will be forever, but then as soon as circumstances change of you getting the offer, but she didn't, even though she had spent more time and more effort and more attention going for it, but you just more or less stumbled into it, realizing the fragility that we all have and how circumstances can truly alter our life trajectory and dynamics and relationships with other people. But yet, despite that, you recognize just how privileged you are, and realizing that some of the opportunities you've got are due to your own hard work, but there are also others that are, frankly, because of other people, either your parents or the school or whatever it is, or financial, that has given you the access, and realizing that that corresponds to a responsibility to be able to serve and to give back and to pay it forward, and taking on that disability project. to think about the implications of those who cannot necessarily always support themselves and the struggles and to really empathize with the predicaments that they face in their life, and to think about how you could use your energy and your talents and your time, such as engineering at Cambridge, both the technical knowledge but also the prestige and the trust that you can gain from it, to be able to help other people. And so you set up the startups, joining the competitions, joining the Cambridge Student Investment Fund as a TMT analyst, trying to combine your interest in companies and the practical side with equity research and trying to learn along the way, but always having the big picture of service in mind. And also, sleeping late, waking up early because you feel like you don't have enough time during the day.
Yeah.
When you think about all of that, what you've been through, when people first meet you, and you've touched on yourself that we are very imperfect and we make snap judgments that don't fully appreciate other people as a human being, and we are discriminatory, we're rude, we're racist. Humans have this enormous capacity for good, but at the same time this flaw of misjudging people and not treating other people the way we want to be treated, as the golden rule states. So with all that in mind, how could people get to know you better? How do they find out about your story? I know you mentioned honesty, but there's also a part of, there must be something more than just pure honesty. How do people get to know you? How do people find out about, how do they build a connection with you? How do they build a rapport? How do they find out your interests, and especially if they're from different background, and how do they empathize with you? If you were to advise someone to support you and to help you and to get to know you, how? And yeah.
By recognizing all the aspects of me. Well, so to be honest, despite of all those kind of close friends I have right now, I saw a majority of people around me did not recognize me so well in all these aspects. So it's more like a puzzle. Some of the people are holding a bit of pieces from this side, whereas the people are holding pieces from the other side. But only a few of them put them all together to see the whole picture. So yeah, actually I'm always confused about how to express all of the complete set of myself in front of others, because just how can I do it properly? Not trying to do a bit of show off, or just trying to do it not that weird, because sometimes we just approach some person saying I did this, I did that, I did that, I did this. People might just think you're crazy. Why you were saying all those kinds towards me at this specific moment? Because sometimes I don't got a lot of time trying to express my ideas or thinkings towards a specific people, given a specific time interval. Let's say when we hang out for meal together, people will just simply talk randomly, so you don't have the chance to try to express your own personality or all of your aspects comprehensively. So yeah.
I'm just going to add one more, the typical final one, but what's one message, quote, or saying you wish every educator, parent, teacher, mentor would promote, and every child would internalize, your central guidance to the next generation? What would you want? How would you sum up your life success philosophy?
For my future, or
just advising other people?
Advising other people, or just try to never get afraid of challenges in your life, and always believe that you can handle it properly, even if in short term it might be a bit of setback.
Amazing. I just want to say thank you, and I think my voice is really being lost on this episode, which I think I just want to, even though I'm in such a bad voice, but I hope my honesty comes through. But just how great it has been to see you take on the opportunities at Cambridge, even though we haven't had too many in-depth discussion. We've more bumped into each other and had brief discussions, but I have paid attention to the way that you strive and the way that you work hard and the way you contribute in team environments, and that's why I sent you the request, because I thought there's a lot that I could learn from you, and indeed I feel like I have learned very much from you, not just on an outlook, but in terms of fundamental values. And I'm again very inspired by your honesty and your thoughtfulness to recognize others' support of you, and most importantly to try and pay that forward, which I think is tremendously noble, and we need more people who think that way, especially in an environment like Cambridge where we're all given far more than perhaps we individually deserve. But yeah, it's just wonderful, and I really, really look forward to seeing what you get to in Cambridge and beyond, and I hope we can have more in-depth conversations in the future, and there's a lot more I can learn from you, so thank you very much.
Thanks very much, David.